preparation for getting ready for Day of the Dead and Halloween, I wanted to summarize a quick version of the presentation I gave at Loma, Colorado Library in Rio Rancho on skeletons. So the first one we're going to start with is Halloween. It comes out of a Gaelic, Celtic festival called Samhain, and it's spelled like that. It's actually the Gaelic word for November, so it was about the harvest time and about that transition from light to dark, and they believed that was that gap where the souls, the evil spirits could escape, and so there they were trying to disguise themselves to hide amongst the evil spirits so that they wouldn't be attacked or hurt by those evil spirits. So this was the costuming was about disguise and about being a chameleon, being in camouflage. But when the missionaries came along, they were converting everybody to Catholicism. They had learned that they couldn't really get rid of pagan traditions, and that it was better to fold them into the Catholic traditions. So with Samhain, which was already happening in November, they folded it into All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, which was happening on November 1st and November 2nd. It was already sanctioned by the Catholic Church. So All Hallows Eve, became shortened to Halloween, that we know today. And when the potato famine happened in Ireland and they fled to America, they took many of those traditions with them, and so it spread quickly through America. And we have film, and then again later in the 80s with evolution of technology, storytelling really solidified that imagery that the skull was evil and scary and gory and represented death and mortality in a very violent and frightening way. And we have the Spanish missionaries landing in Mexico and South America, and they're encountering this Day of the Dead tradition. They folded the Day of the Dead, which was happening in August, into the All Saints and All Souls Day traditions. And so that's where the Samhain and the Day of the Dead traditions overlap, thanks to the Catholic missionaries forcing it into this single date, even though they came from really different places. Now, they were originally pasting real human skulls, and then the missionaries brought traditions of the candy making, which we now refer to as sugar skulls, and that translated to the actual sugar skull face painting design, which is now enjoyed at these festivals. And unlike the Celtic tradition of disguising yourself to hide from the evil spirits, this was for the Day of the Dead people, it was about unifying so that your loved ones would not feel out of place. You were amongst friends and amongst like people, so you were dressing like your relatives so they would feel welcome. And that whole process was really about processing grief. They had to quickly get the bodies into the ground, and so they didn't get to the natural process of saying goodbye. The other two skeleton images I want to talk about, the first one is Santa Muerte, and I want to say very clearly she is not a sanctioned saint of the Catholic Church. Saint Death is what it translates to, and she is a folk image of the disenfranchised. And so they would pray to her, they would create altars to her, but there's this sort of dark undertone to the imagery that if you ask her for something, you have to pay a price in return. As a artist of the Spanish colonial arts traditions, I don't paint her, and I try to educate on what the imagery symbolizes. So the other one, this is the only truly New Mexican skeleton figure. This is a character who was somewhat representative of the Grim Reaper. It was sort of a reminder of death and someone we would pay penance to. So it's not a saint, it's not a sanctioned Catholic character, but it is a folk character of New Mexico to help us remind ourselves that our time on earth is limited. And So that was a very abridged version. If you'd like to see the detailed version, please check it out. And please, if you enjoyed the video, consider donating $5 to my dear friend Arturo Olivas's GoFundMe campaign. He is a stage 4 cancer survivor, and he's also an incredible Spanish colonial artist and artist in general. Check out my article on how to celebrate Day of the Dead respectfully. I'll have that link in the original video, and I'll also post my tutorial on sugar skull face painting. Thank you.